Right now, Madison Mayor unveiling the second part of the city's budget, how the proposal will impact the community. Also, with the election now just 4 weeks away, how some of the youngest voters are trying to get more people their age eligible to vote. And later, the new bus rapid transit system hitting a bit of a bump in the road with its fleet, how a shortage of buses is impacting routes. We welcome you to News 3 Now at 6. Well, good evening. Thanks for joining us. The city of Madison asking voters to check yes on more property taxes because of a potential $22 million deficit in the city's operating budget. And today, Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway unveiled what the city's 2025 budget could look like depending on if the November referendum passes. Our Ellie La Liberte joins us now with a breakdown of what it could mean for all of you. Ellie?
Yeah, that's right, Eric. To address the operating budget's deficit, the city will ask voters to approve a $22 million referendum in November. Now, if approved, it would increase property taxes for the average homeowner by $230 annually. Without that funding, the city says there will be significant cuts impacting trash collection, libraries, and public safety services. Today, the mayor proposed two different versions of that budget. One in case the voters approve the referendum and an alternative one in case they do not.
That alternative budget anticipates significant cuts. And I want to note that in addition to cuts that would be necessary to make in 2025, it also anticipates that we would need to continue to make cuts year over year if other funding sources are not available.
Now, if voters approve the referendum, the city will add 2 new garbage machine operators to keep up with the city's growth. Now, it would also reallocate money to the Library System Imagination Center startup. However, Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway does say this budget is not significantly different from last year's. Now, both versions of the operating budget will go to the Common Council for review. And tonight at 10, I'll have a further breakdown of what both do.
All right, Ellie, thank you. President Biden visiting Milwaukee today, announcing a new rule designed to replace nearly every lead pipe over the next 10 years. Officials say a major source of lead poisoning comes from lead pipes that bring water into apartments and homes. Right now, the city of Milwaukee has the 5th highest number of lead pipes in the nation. The White House says lead poisoning disproportionately affects lower-income communities and communities of color.
One study showed black children were at least 2 times more likely to have elevated levels of lead in their blood than children of other racial groups. We have an obligation to make things right.
The EPA plans to invest more than $2.5 billion for pipe replacements and upgrades. And First Lady Jill Biden will be back in Madison next week. Dr. Biden will be in town October 14th. She's expected to stump for Vice President Kamala Harris on topics including reproductive rights, democracy, and economic opportunity. No word on exactly where she will be or the time. The First Lady last visited Wisconsin back in June when she stopped in Green Bay. We are also just learning Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders will be campaigning for Kamala Harris in Baraboo on Saturday. Well, in 28 days, people will go to their polling place to cast their ballots for the 2024 election. But first, they have to register. And our Merrill Hubbard visited Madison West High School to see how students and volunteers are helping new voters get registered.
It's voter registration day here at West High School as the election is less than a month away.
The point is to have young people helping other young people.
The Madison West Civics Club and the League of Women Voters teamed up to help eligible students get registered to vote.
We like to help the kids get in to the habit of voting right away.
What makes this different than regular registration sites is they are bringing the resources directly to people who need them.
I think it can sometimes be a little intimidating, especially for new voters, to go up to a table of people they have no idea who they are, and I think the point is to have young people helping other young people.
The League of Women Voters and Civics Club are volunteers in this process. However, if we take a look into some history, voter registration in high schools didn't always require voluntary help.
So we're trying to restore what was previously in statute where this was allowed, where somebody was able to go to high schools and educate students on being able to register to vote.
Representative Alex Jors is working on a nonpartisan bill to bring back something that was eliminated over a decade ago. High schools used to be mandatory registration sites in Wisconsin until this was repealed by the legislature in 2011.
The bill gives just the next step of actually somebody that is able to walk high schoolers through the process of getting registered and get that essential documentation to the clerks to be able to get that person registered.
The bill would allocate a special school registration deputy that can accept registration forms from students and staff any day classes are in session. This bill won't be passed any earlier than next year, so for now, volunteers have to take registration into their own hands.
I think that the other side is like the education behind it and making sure that not only are students and young people registering to vote, but also being educated about what their vote means.
Because of the age limit, the Civics Club will only get a handful of new registrations, but they tell me that every vote counts. Reporting on the West Side, Meryl Hubbard, News 3 Now.
And the last day to register online to vote is October 16th. Temperatures starting to warm back up. Let's check your first warn forecast with Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington. Alex?
Eric, in those warming temperatures accompanied with sunny skies, and the sun is still out here, but it's going down out here in the patio. We'll see temperatures cooling off eventually. 65 in Madison, low 70s over southwest Wisconsin, and low to mid 60s to the north of Madison, where we could get actually a little bit of frost overnight tonight. Our time lapse in Dodgeville, courtesy of Upland Hills Skycam, showing a beautiful day. Just a couple passing clouds throughout Iowa County and through southern Wisconsin. Cannot be beat. Again, a gorgeous day. 65 in Madison. The Upland Hills Skycam showing the sun setting. Dew point is low. Humidity is low. Fire danger is actually a little bit on the high side because of dry fuels, meaning dry vegetation, low humidity levels, and no rain really in sight. Planning our evening tonight, our temperatures will dip down to about 50 when you join Jacob at 10 o'clock, and that frost potential to the north up towards Juneau and Adams County as you wake up to Wednesday morning. A little bit more about frost potential for all of southern Wisconsin and the latest on Milton and Maine weather.
Alex, thank you. We now know with certainty the identity of a body pulled from a retention pond on Madison's west side. The Dane County Medical Examiner confirming today it is the woman who went missing last week. 24-year-old Brooke Stratton was last seen Monday, the 30th of September, in the area of Odana Road at Whitney Way. Police say she was with a male acquaintance. The next day, she was reported missing. The cause and manner of Stratton's death has not been released. Additional testing is underway. We do know that the man last seen with Stratton is in custody at the Dane County Jail on an unrelated charge. Police are questioning him about Stratton's disappearance. Now to Janesville, where people are investigating two separate incidents where they found bodies near a gazebo within days of each other. On Sunday, officers say they found an unresponsive man near a gazebo on North Washington near Traxler Park. That man later was pronounced dead. Then this morning, just after 11, officers were sent to the same area for another unresponsive man. Officers also declaring him dead at the scene. There's no indication of any foul play or trauma. Authorities say there is no threat to the public. The investigation is ongoing. We enter the third week now of the BRT system. With anything new, there are some growing pains, of course. Most recently, the system having some issues with its fleet. Our Jalen Banks joins us live from one of the stops with more on this most recent challenge. Jalen?
Eric, just behind me is one of the BRT stops. We see them all over Madison now, and it's been an adjustment for the entire city, from the bus drivers having to learn their new routes, from everyday drivers having to learn the new lanes and the signage, and even passengers of these new buses and the new routes learning how to put money on their cards. And with these adjustments, speaking of passengers today, there have been some frustrations, but they're understandable. Metro Transit announcing early Monday they're having service disruptions due to fleet issues.
Being late, I have to rely on it to get to work and school, so being late is never good.
Parts of Route B had to be canceled because of a shortage in the Flyer electric bus fleet. This fleet is different from the buses on Route A because these buses use a different charging system.
Yeah, it's annoying, and I wish that we could get more BRTs, or I don't know, get more service out here or something.
And speaking to some passengers, they say these issues are expected.
I'd like the public to just be a little patient and see how this rolls out. But as you know, as Madison grows, it's only going to keep growing and get more densely populated. Buses that run in the middle lanes is a much better system than on the sides.
And despite recent delays and shortages, optimism in the new system remains up.
I'm confident that they're going to work out those bugs. I think it would be kind of weird if there were no bugs when you start a system like this. And I think seeing the drivers, myself included as a driver, get used to, the new lights and waiting, for buses to go through the intersection and things. It's going to take some time, but
Now, we'll continue to keep you updated on that fleet in particular, as well as when the route is back up to full capacity. But for now, reporting live in Madison, Jalen Banks, News 3 Now.
Jalen, thank you. Coming up, our Coats for Kids campaign enters its next phase. You can still help out. Plus, rock band Coldplay coming to Camp Randall Stadium next summer. What it means for the stadium and future events here.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6. Brought to you by Gruber Law Offices.
The best call I ever made was to Gruber Law Offices.
It was one call. They took care of me, and they'll be there for you. You made that one call, that's all.
Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
One call, that's all.
Senator Baldwin claims she's doing something about the fentanyl crisis and says she got a major fentanyl bill passed. But Senator Baldwin is lying. The bill's main sponsor, Senator Tim Scott, had this to say.
As the primary sponsor, I've never had a single conversation with Cammie about this bill, period.
Career politicians like Senator Baldwin are always lying about something. Senator Baldwin, she's extreme, radical, and wrong.
I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message.
4 years ago, rioters set this Minneapolis police station on fire, trying to burn me and my fellow police officers alive. Governor Tim Walz left us for dead. And Kamala Harris?
This is a movement, I'm telling you. Everyone beware. They're not going to let up, and they should not.
She raised millions to help bail rioters out of jail and supported defunding the police. Kamala sold cops out and put families at risk. Kamala Harris is too weak and too dangerous to be president.
Preserve America PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
It seems like everyone in Washington is either too far left or too far right. I'm Rebecca Cook, and like most folks in Wisconsin, I'm somewhere in the middle. I'll stand up to Democrats to fight for a secure border and stop wasteful spending. I'll stand up to extremists like Derek Van Orden, who wants to ban all abortions with no exceptions. Like you, I'm fed up and ready for change. I approve this message because it's time that we sent one of us to Congress.
The final sprint to Election Day is on, and News 3 Now this morning is focused on the races and the policies that matter to you, the voter.
We're taking a look at both sides of the issues and where the candidates stand so you can cast your vote with confidence.
3 for the people, only on News 3 Now. You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
Welcome back. The donation period for Coats for Kids may be over, but we still have plenty of work to do, and that includes getting ready for the distribution event. It's happening Friday, October 25th at 3 Boys and Girls Club locations: the Allied Family Center in Fitchburg, the Erica and Anthony Fleming Boys and Girls Club in Madison, and the Mackenzie Family Boys and Girls Club in Sun Prairie. Those events run from 9 to 6. Well, after some teases over the weekend, UW Athletics and Coldplay announcing this morning a planned concert to take place next summer. News 3 Now's Kyle Pozorski shares what all the buzz is about from Camp Randall Stadium.
It's official. Coldplay is coming here to Madison for the first performance at Camp Randall Stadium in nearly 28 years.
Camp Randall is an iconic venue. It's been here for over 100 years.
Following Friday's release of the 7-time Grammy-winning band's 10th studio album, Moon Music, it was inevitable several new dates would be added to Coldplay's Music of the Spheres World Tour. Now, come July 19th, Madison's most iconic venue will see lasers, fireworks, and of course, live music. Something not seen here since the Rolling Stones and U2 performed in the 90s. Jason Ilstrup of Downtown Madison, Inc. tell News 3 Now the return to a concert of this caliber to Camp Randall indicates a want amongst Madison's young and growing population.
The city is growing, and we're growing with young people who honestly have some expendable income oftentimes to be able to go to concerts like this.
The band will additionally be joined by a mystery guest, which will be announced at a later date. At Camp Randall Stadium, Kyle Pozorski, News 3 Now.
A ticket presale begins on Friday at 9 a.m. General tickets go on sale at noon. Still ahead at 6, the latest on Hurricane Milton making its way through the Gulf of Mexico. Plus autumn just a couple weeks in now, but you wouldn't know it by looking at the trees, how this year's conditions are impacting our fall colors. And the warmer temperatures make a comeback this week. Alex returns a complete look at the forecast after a short break.
I worked as a truck driver for 36 years.
And then one day I got this letter.
Your retirement will be cut.
Will be cut in half.
You don't forget something like that.
Every paycheck we put money away. But because of Wall Street greed, boom, it was gone. But Tammy Baldwin saw what they were doing and wrote a bill to save our retirement.
Then she fought like hell to pass it.
What Tammy Baldwin did for our families, you don't forget something like that.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
Kamala Harris is going to significantly raise taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up?
Kamala's plan will raise families' taxes by nearly $2,600 a year. Under Kamala, prices have already soared. Now she'd make it worse with even higher taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up?
President Trump will cut taxes again. No taxes on tips, overtime, or Social Security.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Coldplay Live 2025, Music of the Spheres World Tour. Live at Camp Randall Stadium, Saturday, July 19th. Sign up for pre-sale access now at Coldplay.com. Moon Music, the new album, out now. Tour delivered by DHL, the official logistics partner.
Something big is happening at Hy-Vee. We've lowered thousands and thousands of prices on thousands and thousands of items in every aisle and in every department. Online, too. And on many of your favorite products. We've even matched prices with some of the biggest discount stores in the country. Because we get it, times are still tough. So we'll continue to work hard to bring you new lower prices on thousands of items. Things are looking different at Hy-Vee. Come see for yourself.
Sometimes the smallest cracks can cause the biggest chills. And something sinister is lurking in the shadows.
What was that?
To survive, they must seal their fate.
Not working.
With Feldco.
50% off windows ends soon. Come now.
This fall, watch out for The Draft.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866 for Feldco.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
We are only about 2 weeks into fall, but it's barely felt like it or looked like it outside. How is the weather this year impacting our fall colors? Armand Rahman explains.
Now everybody wants to see all the pretty colors, the bright oranges, the ambers, the reds.
Just like us, the trees change their wardrobe with the weather. But for them, it's less about how they feel and more about their chemistry.
As temperatures start to cool off, chlorophyll starts to break down. So that green compound starts to break down in our plants.
Just like we cover up with sweaters and jackets, pigment compounds cover each other up based on temperature and moisture. A severe drought can cause the chlorophyll to stick around in the leaves a little bit longer, delaying that color change. Now, when you get a sequence of warm and sunny autumn days and cool but not freezing nights, that's ideal for the chemical anthocyanin, which creates those vibrant reds. And in terms of the chemical carotenoid that create those yellow, gold, and orange colors, well, those chemicals don't really change due to the weather, so they stay pretty constant every year. So what is that ideal sweet spot fall forecast for vibrant colors? Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington says stay tuned to find out.
We actually have some cool nights that are in the forecast for early next week where we could get into the upper 20s to the lower 30s. So all those ingredients are there for southern Wisconsin and much of the state to have those really pretty peak colors.
You can also use color to help identify the types of trees. Oaks turn a red or reddish brown, dogwood turns purple red, and maple trees show a whole range of colors. Reporting in Madison, Armand Rahman, News 3 Now.
And it is a race against time in Florida. Hurricane Milton closing in on the state's Gulf Coast. Right now, the storm has re-strengthened into a Category 5 hurricane. Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis says shelters of last resort will be set up along major interstates, able to accommodate tens of thousands of people. Meanwhile, residents in coastal communities are still working to clean up debris from Hurricane Helene. Crews in the state have been using dump trucks to haul away what they can. President Biden promising federal help before, during, and after the storm. And for the latest on where it is, let's check back in with Alex with a complete look. This is a whopper when you look at it on satellite imagery, Alex.
It's a monster, Eric, quite frankly. There's no other way of explaining it. It is north of the Yucatan Peninsula. That's part of the weather ingredients that helps intensify. You don't want to have land interaction for a hurricane. When you do, it actually decreases the intensity. But now that it's moving out into the very, very warm portion of the Gulf of Mexico away from land, we're seeing that rapid intensification again, gusts up to 200 miles per hour with this very intense Category 5 hurricane. You need warm sea surface temperatures. That's ingredient number one. Minimal land impacts, as I was mentioning, moving away from the Yucatan, and then weak winds higher up. You don't want those winds higher up, otherwise it disrupts the energy and the circulation of the hurricane. Now, our forecast for Milton brings that towards the shore, west coast of Florida, near the Tampa area, near Sarasota by the time we get into Wednesday evening. And what is forecasted are winds higher up to become a little bit stronger, and that may help to weaken the overall intensity of Milton, at least wind-wise. But this large hurricane will also have a significant storm surge, and that storm surge will likely come on shore somewhere between Tampa and Sarasota at its peak. That storm surge doesn't just immediately go away, even if the hurricane winds go down a little bit. Now, our weather, beautiful. Picture perfect. 62 degrees, was just outside in the 60s. Light winds, 8 o'clock tonight near 60, 53 at 10 o'clock tonight when you join Jacob for 10 o'clock newscast. A little bit of frost. We can't rule that out again to the north. Juneau, Adams, even Marquette and Green Lake counties, areas north of the Dells, can't rule out waking up to some frost as we go from Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. 43 in Madison for a low, 45 in Platteville, and 36 to the north in Camp Douglas. Gorgeous day expected, highs in the upper 60s to the lower 70s across all of southern Wisconsin. Plenty of sunny skies across the area through the day on Wednesday, and that's going to last too into Thursday. Friday, 81, so summer for a day. Temperatures going back down with a cold front this weekend. Upper 50s, though, not a misprint. We haven't had that temperatures that cool really since last spring. Upper 50s is going to feel fall-like, but we will climb right back out of that again. Rainfall chances very low with this cold front coming through, likely dry across southern Wisconsin. So it's that combination, low humidity levels, increasing dry fuels as we have leaves and other vegetation that's drying out. Slim rain chances leads to a fire danger. As we carry forth, the best chance I mentioned for frost north of Madison, patchy frost tonight. But as we go out into that Sunday night, Monday night, maybe even Tuesday night time frame, that cool pattern, upper 20s, lower 30s, we could be looking at a hard freeze across parts of southern Wisconsin and widespread frost as well. Oh, that's correct. Sorry, I forgot we had additional video. My bad. But this is actually a really important topic that I want to bring up, folks. Speaking of Milton again, you may wonder where we get some of our hurricane information from. So guess what? We are going to be going to talk with some of the best tropical weather information experts that are no further than Madison, Wisconsin. This is the Cooperative Institute for Meteorological Satellite Studies downtown at the Atmospheric and Oceanic Science Building, and they have a tropical weather department that is renowned for all over the world for their tropical weather tools, their research, and our team, as I mentioned, we're going to be really lucky. Tomorrow night, we're going to be doing weather live with hurricane experts at Sims during our 4, 5, and 6 o'clock shows. We'll be tracking Milton. We'll be discussing what makes Milton unique and talking on the latest science on hurricanes that hit Florida's west coast.
And coming up in sports, Badger women's hockey gearing up for a top 3 tilt this weekend. Why they say they're up for the challenge. That's next on News 3 Now.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
My name is Bill. I am retired. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and I live here in Wisconsin. I am not a political person, but Eric Hovde doesn't understand how important Social Security and Medicare are around here. I'm on Social Security, and Hovde said he absolutely supported cuts to Social Security and Medicare. Imagine working longer, paying into the system, and then poof, you're paying your bills with less. He knows it. Cutting Social Security and Medicare will cost us. He just doesn't care.
WinSenate is responsible for the content of this message.
Prices are up, wages are down, inflation is crushing Wisconsin families. Yet Sarah Kieski, she supports lifting revenue limits, allowing property tax rates to skyrocket unchecked. Even more radical, Kieski's backers want to ban natural gas to heat our homes, driving utility bills through the roof. Tax hikes and higher prices for families and those living on fixed incomes. That's Kieski's record. Expensive and extreme. Reject Sarah Kieski and her radical agenda.
In 2016, Donald Trump said he would choose only the best people to work in his White House. Now those people have a warning for America. Trump is not fit to be president again. Here's his vice president.
Anyone who puts himself over the Constitution should never be president of the United States. I cannot in good conscience endorse Donald Trump this year.
His defense secretary.
Do you think Trump can be trusted with the nation's secrets ever again?
No. I mean, it's just irresponsible action that places our service members at risk, places our nation's security at risk.
His national security advisor.
Donald Trump will cause a lot of damage. The only thing he cares about is Donald Trump.
And the nation's former highest-ranking military officer.
We don't take an oath to a king or a queen or to a tyrant or a dictator. And we don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator.
Take it from the people who knew him best. Donald Trump is too big a risk for America.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
You heard him.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
What would Eric Hubby do in the Senate? Mitch McConnell and extremists would gain a majority. The power to ban abortion nationwide. No exceptions for rape or incest. Criminal penalties for doctors. More extreme anti-abortion judges on the courts.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
Eric Hubby, what's wrong with this guy?
It's been 2 weeks of dominating series sweeps for Badger women's hockey. Mark Johnson's squad has outscored their opponents 34-2, but now it's about to get a little tougher. Wisconsin begins WCHA play this weekend with a top 3 showdown against Minnesota Duluth. The Badgers have won 3 of the last 4 games against the Bulldogs and are looking forward to skating against some tougher competition.
This is awesome. I mean, I think we're fired up for it and we're ready to go to have that tougher game now. So I think it just kind of helps us keep the ball rolling and kind of figure out to see really where we're at now, especially starting with obviously a very competitive team within our league.
I think we're ready for it. You know, it's like I was saying, it's very physical, and so we're, you know, as healthy as we can be, and, you know, we're ready for that challenge, and so we're ready to see what we're made of.
Last week, Romeo Dobbs skipped 2 practices due to reported frustration with his role in the offense, which led to Matt LaFleur suspending the wideout for Sunday's game against the Rams. Well, last season, Dobbs was one of Jordan Love's favorite options, and before the Rams game, he was second on the team in targets. Now, all of that seems to be water under the bridge because LaFleur expects him to be back to practice on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think it's just one day at a time, you know. The one thing I'll say about it is, I mean, it's a pretty isolated incident. Like, this has not happened with him before, and I don't expect it to happen moving forward.
Drama.
Behave. Quick final check of the forecast.
Yeah, let's just take a quick look at our 10-day. If we still have an opportunity to put a graphic up. Temperatures warming up to summer-like readings by Friday. Cool next week, looking at some frost early next week.
Thanks for joining us, folks. We'll be back here tonight at 10.